After the success of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind in 1984, Studio Ghibli was officially created in 1985, making its first movie, Castle in the Sky, in 1986. This is one of the most beautiful yet simplistic movies that I can think of, not just talking about anime either, but movies as a whole. This is something that is very child-friendly, and if you're trying to get your child into anime, or just looking for something that your kid will like, then I definitely recommend this. If you have interest in the history of animation or anime, then I recommend this, even though I'm sure you already know about it by now. Or if you're just looking for something with a very relaxing and beautiful experience, then I also recommend this movie. Castle in the Sky is set in a time where people's most advanced technology is powered by steam engines. They will have these massive ships that will fly through the sky through the power of steam. And here we see one of the main protagonists, Sheeta, who has a secret legacy, who she is a descendant of an ancient civilization which had magical powers and had superior technology, harnessing the power of the earth known as Etherium. In the past, Etherium granted her ancestors the ability to create massive flying islands, huge robots that are very powerful among many other magical creations. In the beginning of this movie, we see that Sheeta is being held captive on an airship because of her heritage and also because of her magical crystal necklace when this airship is attacked by air pirates who also want the necklace for themselves. In the beginning, we see two different sets of antagonists, the air pirates led by Dola, who is like a mother figure to them, and they actually really do grow on you through watching this movie, and we also have the other set of antagonists who had originally kidnapped Sheeta, led by Muska, who has his own ambition, which is very cliche. He's trying to use this power to take over the world and destroy everything. Seen it a billion times by now, but it's an older movie, so I cut it a little bit of slack. So during this disturbance caused by the pirate attack on this airship, Sheeta decides to just climb out of the window and try to escape an airship, but of course it doesn't work out so well and she falls off, but her magical necklace saves her and allows her to float gently down to Earth. As Sheeta gently floats down to Earth, she is spotted by Pazu, the movie's other main protagonist, who she ultimately becomes great friends with and shares all of the secrets about her ancestors and about the floating island as well, once she finds that his father had once seen the island and tried to find it, but because nobody believed him, he died of sadness. Yeah, it's a children's movie from the mid-80s. You're gonna have to cut it some slack with some of this stuff. While inside Pazu's peaceful hometown, we see a lot of bonding between these two characters, but their peace is soon broken because everyone that wanted to steal this necklace from her finds her there, and long story short, they have to team up with the pirates in order to find this floating island to stop Muska from achieving his plans of world domination. So that's basically what happens within the first half of the movie, just to be vague about the plot because I don't want to spoil it for you, but like I said, the plot is very simplistic, it's very basic. I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of this because it is a children's movie from the mid-80s, but this does actually have a lot of redeeming qualities to it because when watching this, I felt that this was a very relaxing movie, and then looking at the visuals, which were beautiful. I really like the backgrounds here, which I'll talk more about that once I move on to the presentation of the movie, but also it's got a little bit of drama here as well. And one thing that I really like about Ghibli movies is that while it does have drama and while it's something that I could recommend to all ages, usually Ghibli films are a little bit on the darker side in certain parts, which this really didn't have. It really made me feel like I was watching a Disney movie with a twist. It really made me feel like it was that Disney type of movie. One of the problems that I have with this movie is its pacing. Now, I don't have many problems with it, but this is a 2-hour-long movie, so it's pretty long for something with such a simplistic plot, and it's going to sound weird to say this, but I think that some of the parts that they could have removed from this to speed things along a bit would be some of the chase scenes and also some of the action-y, like, fight scenes that we see here, just because the story could be told without them. It really doesn't add anything, but I think that they were trying to go for a wider audience with with touching on everybody because they have a bit of comedy here, they've got a bit of drama, they've got adventure, so, you know, they add a little bit of action here as well. And I don't really see anything wrong with that, but it does add to the length of the movie. There's a lot of dialogue here, and there's a lot of bonding with these characters, but I think that that is perfect. It's just the right amount that you would need out of a movie. So moving on to the overall presentation here, first of all, I've got a bone to pick with Disney. This has nothing to do with the anime itself, but with the Disney DVD release. Now, I saw this in store in Best Buy, where I bought it from, right next to the Blu-ray release of it, and the difference in price was substantial, so I decided to go with the DVD version of it because this is a movie from the mid-80s. There's only but so good this can look if it's been remastered properly, which I assume that it had been because this is Disney. And also it's on Blu-ray right next to it, so I assumed that they would have taken the remastered version that's on Blu-ray and toned it down to standard definition for the DVD. So I bought this, and I expected it to look really good, but to be honest with you, the picture quality of the DVD is poor. I watched this twice within the past few days since I bought the DVD. Once on the larger TV, once on the smaller monitor. Honestly, it didn't make any difference. And then when I looked up for the trailers of the Blu-ray here, the difference was like night and day. The Blu-ray quality to this was amazing, and I wish that I had bought the Blu-ray. So moving on to the actual animation here, despite the fact that I watched this with poor picture quality on DVD, this is a beautiful movie. Despite the fact that the character designs here lack detail and texture, it wasn't really that big of a deal because this is something from the mid-80s. It was Ghibli's first movie, their first official movie, and also the backgrounds made up for everything because the scenery that you see here is so beautiful. It really looks like there are some things here that are maybe hand-painted. All of it is hand-drawn because it's from the mid-80s and it's older, and that's how they did things back then, but all of the backgrounds are beautiful. All of the scenery here is beautiful. The entire setting is just amazing, and I find it to be very relaxing, accompanied with the great feeling of adventure that this movie brings. So taking a look at the audio for this movie, it's got a beautiful score of like classical music, which I find to be very relaxing, accompanied with its beautiful backdrops here. Now, as far as the voice acting goes, there are a couple different ways that you can watch this. You can watch this with the Japanese audio, which is going to be good. You can watch this with its original English dub, which I cannot vouch for, and actually looking this up on the Wikipedia, when this came out, I think in the early 90s in the United States, the people who licensed it, quote, I don't know who dubbed this. They really didn't know, so I really can't vouch for the quality of that. But in 1998, when Disney picked this up, they redubbed it. They've got Mark Hamill. They've got a few other notable people on there that you would see in movies. You know, they've got some pretty good actors on there. I say that watch this with the English dub. The dub to this is good. The only problem that I have with it, which is a minor thing that I really didn't think about until when I was rewatching this again today, is when other people had said that the voice acting of Pazu and Sheeta, their voices kind of sound like they're a lot older than they're intended to be. Now, this is a minor drawback with Pazu. I didn't really notice it with Sheeta. I think that was just a bit of a nitpick thing with some people, but with Pazu, sometimes he will have this very deep and bassy voice for such a young kid like that, which, you know, is out of place at times, but it's a minor issue. I still recommend the English dub. So giving my overall score out of 10 to Castle in the Sky, taking out the issue that I had with the picture quality in the DVD because it's not the fault of the anime, and also if you watch this through other methods, then you're not going to necessarily have that same problem, but I would have to give this an 8.5. So this has got a very cliche story, but there are certain aspects of that I can forgive because this is very old, it was very popular, so it's possible that it became a trendsetter and made some of the certain things that I see here to be cliche within other anime as well, and with other movies too. But when you have a antagonist here that their motive is just to take over the world, then, you know, you're not gonna get a whole lot of a deep story out of that. But this is actually a children's movie. I'm cutting it a little bit of slack for that as well. I'm not gonna really expect the deepest, most intriguing plot in the world from a children's movie. And also, one massive personal bonus for me with this movie is that one of my favorite video games of all time took a lot of inspiration from this movie, Skies of Arcadia, which is a turn-based JRPG on the Dreamcast, and also the GameCube took a lot of inspiration from this, especially in that very first part of the game itself, because you fly off, you use an airship to fly off to this floating island, and you go down and use a crystal to awaken this ancient robot, and you have to fight against that. Even the main character, Weiss, has the same scar on his cheek that Pazu gets in this movie, and also looking at some of the architecture of some of the ancient buildings that you find in Skies of Arcadia later on, really you could tell that they look a lot like some of the older buildings that you see within Castle in the Sky. So that was one huge bonus for me. I don't know if anybody out there is a big fan of that game, but it's a great game. You should check it out. It's one of my favorites. But anyways, Castle in the Sky, let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and also share it with your friends. I really appreciate all that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.